I'm excited.
Yeah, of course. So, just to start off, tell us about yourself, who you are, and as well as what Uniquely Aligned is.
Okay. So as you said, I'm a freshman at USC right now. I study creative writing, but who knows where that'll go. I'm only a freshman, so I have time. But yeah, I started Uniquely Aligned with Catherine and Savannah when we were in high school, I think freshman year. And it started off just like as a writing blog, and it was just us and another friend, Smith, and we just posted like weekly blog posts, like basically what we write now, but it was just us. And we always wanted it to be like a big, actual magazine where people submit and everything. But, at the time we were like, oh, people aren't going to submit. Like, we're freshmen, it doesn't matter. But then I think it was our junior year, we decided to open it up to submissions, revamp the whole website. And yeah, and we just started reaching out to people and I don't know, following people on Instagram, and somehow it worked and we started getting submissions, and now it is what it is. So yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Did you want to get started with the questions, Becca?
Yeah, so aside from doing Uniquely Aligned in school and everything, what inspired you to make this magazine?
I think it was a lot of the other magazines that we followed. Like, obviously, I mean, this is everyone's answer, but like Rookie Mag, was like such a big thing for us. And I think the three of us, we're all very creative, but we're all from Texas, like Fort Worth, where, I mean, there are a lot of creative people there, but in our little bubble, it seemed like it was just kind of, I don't know, we felt like we were just bored, I guess. And so I think the biggest thing was that we just wanted to like do something and make something and have somewhere to like share our writing. And we were young and our writing wasn't like necessarily great yet. So it wasn't like we were feeling comfortable like submitting to other magazines. So it was nice to be able to have a place where like we could put whatever we wanted and not worry about, like it being perfect. And I think that was to like a big influence of what Uniquely Aligned is now, because I mean we have great writers and stuff, but we like to give people like the freedom to, write stuff that wouldn't be published in like a big magazine, that is, I don't know, it's supposed to be perfect and professional. Like, we wanted it to still feel like free and childish and fun, rather than like um, a source of stress, I guess. But yeah, I think the biggest thing was just that we wanted to like be creative and start something and create that kind of space for other people as well.
Awesome. Was there like a specific thing or person that inspired you guys to start the magazine? Or
Yeah, I think, like I said, Rookie was so huge. And at the time, like when we started it, we were 15. And, Tabby Gevinson started it when she was 15. We were like, oh my gosh, we're behind. Like, we have to start. And so I think that was like a big, like, we wanted to like get ahead, I guess. Um, but yeah, I think Tabby Gevinson is like super cool. And I think Rookie was the same kind of place that was, super free to be publishing like whatever teenagers or 20 somethings or whatever wanted. And I still like read that website because I think it's amazing. But I think that was probably the biggest inspiration at the time. And then once we started our own thing, we figured out that there are a ton of little zines or whatever, you know, in the community. We had no idea that even existed. And then like a ton of other magazines like You Guys, Lithium, just Adolescent, Pure Nowhere, all of those things became like our inspirations.
Definitely. So tell us about the name or the meaning behind your name.
Mhm. Yeah, this is one of my favorite things because I like how our name is pretty like straightforward, and you like kind of can get a sense of what the magazine is like because of the name. But our whole thing was, so Catherine, Savannah, and I are all very different, but we're all kind of similar in the way that we like to create, we like to write, whatever. But we all have very different kind of interests. And I think that was kind of a start to like, oh, we're all super different, but we're all the same in a way. And we thought that was, true for everybody in the entire world. And so the name basically means like we're unique, we're all different, we all have our own gifts, we all have our own interests, whatever, but we're also aligned, we're all human. And there's like a similar thread between all of us. And we wanted the magazine to make people feel, less alone if they were experiencing something that was, that felt super big and teenagey and angsty and all that stuff. But, other people are experiencing similar things. And I think that was a big, that was like a wow thing for me because I felt less alone reading other people's, and I loved like reading comments when people felt like less alone reading, people things we published.
I love that. That was awesome. I like feel like I've thought about your guys' name, but not really to the depth of that. So that's really great.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we're gonna move on to the next topic, which is team establishment. So I guess our first question is, how did your guys' team come together besides you three, like your guys' larger team?
Right. Yeah, I think we were lucky in the first place to have like three of us starting it together because like without each other, we would have no one to bounce ideas off of and stuff. And then once we decided that we were gonna like take on team and take on writers, photographers, I think the biggest thing was reaching out to people. So like in the beginning when we were looking for submissions, we would just like DM somebody we read, one writing piece or something, or we'd see a photographer on an account and DM them and be like, do you want to submit? And then once we started accepting team members, a lot of those people we again asked, like, do you want to be part of the team? And then I think it's kind of a cycle, like the more team members you get, then the more people are going to apply. And so then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think over quarantine, we grew our team a lot over quarantine because in the beginning I was, just like so bored. Like I was hardly doing school. I was graduating high school. Like all I had was Uniqley line. So I like put every hour and every second into it. And so a lot of people who were applying, we reviewed a lot of applications. And I think it helps a lot when you're when you put that opportunity out there and just have to like go through everything, which it's like a really hard process, reviewing the applications and stuff. It's like not fun, but I mean, it's worth it. And I think a lot of the team members we have, it's really fun because we've had them since we like DM'd them to submit like our first week or, found them on Instagram like right when we started. And so we've had people along the whole way, which is really lucky.
Yeah, that's awesome. I totally feel that. I feel like just the zine community in general has like blown up during quarantine and everything. So it's like I understand that. Like we feel that too, that we have taken on a lot of people as well. So when you're looking for people to join your team, what is like one important thing you keep in mind in like the person?
Right. I think obviously like uniqueness because it goes with our whole motive. But I think what I really love to see, especially now, is when people are really like trying to push themselves and write, longer pieces. Like I used to write like teeny tiny short pieces for my blogs, and then I realized, wait, I have to like actually like develop some stuff. And so I like seeing people when they're working really hard to like develop full ideas and try really hard to come up with new creative ideas. And for like photographers, like come up with a really cool photo series idea. Like I think it's really special when people are trying to step out of the box. But I also think the biggest thing just in being a team member is just, I don't know, we want them to feel one, like they are like, it's not a source of stress again. We want them to feel like they don't, need to like stress about getting one piece every month. We want it to be like free and just comfortable so we can all just be friends, and enjoy it. But it's also nice to have people who are really ambitious and are like, oh, I came up with this idea. And they're, sending me an email and they're like, oh, I thought of this. Can I write this piece or can I interview this person? I think it's nice seeing people who have ideas or just general ideas about the magazine, like, oh, I came up with this idea. We could do this campaign or, whatever. I think it's nice to have people who are really like collaborating and just kind of, I like when they kind of take it as their own, if that makes sense. Like it's not like we're like the above and you guys are all of our, people who serve us. Like we just want it to be more of like a collaborative family, if that makes sense. Yeah. So it's not one thing, but it's hard to pick one thing.
Yeah, it seems like you've been really lucky with the support and, like your community has seemed very tight knit and very much like a family, which is really lucky and super nice. But for people who don't necessarily have that, do you have any advice for people who want to start a zine?
Yeah, absolutely.
That are kind of on their own.
Yeah. I think it's like anybody could do it and anybody should do it. Like if you feel like you want to do it, it's so easy to just like, even if you're not ready to start a website yet, like start an Instagram account and start like curating content, or like write your own stuff, fill up the website if you're doing a website with your own stuff or your friend's stuff, and then start reaching out to people who are, you admire their work or something. I think like the most helpful thing, and the thing that made like Uniquely Aligned work so well and grow so big, was literally just reaching out to people. Like I'd see somebody wrote like a great poem on Rookie or something, and I'd find their Instagram and like DM them and be like, we just started this, like, do you want to submit? I think people are always like willing to try new things, especially like at this age, because people, a lot of people at this age are not like necessarily trying to, get a paid job or whatever. They just want to like enjoy it, have fun, try new things, meet new people. And so I think there's no harm in like reaching out to people. And I think that's the biggest thing for like starting your own zine or magazine or whatever you want to call it. I think reaching out to people and just like going in blind, cold emailing people, like that's a huge, huge thing. And that'll like help you grow and just help people like find your magazine.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Like the worst thing that someone can say is no, and like you will never know until you try. So that's also like a statement that I live by personally, aside from the magazine as well. So we have a question from the comments saying, is there anything you wish you knew before starting a zine?
Yeah, I think there were points in my like high school career, whether it was just like a season that had like a lot of work, or I was just busy personally and stuff. And there were times when, making it work is really hard. And I think I put a lot of pressure on myself to like make it perfect, and like spend all my time doing that. And I would be like in class working on it when, I mean, technically I shouldn't have been doing that. But I think you kind of have to give yourself a break. I wish I knew to that, like, I mean, as much as I love this and it's like a great like professional community in a way, it's also like I'm a teenager and I'd rather put my like, self-care, like health, just like I don't want it to be a source of stress. I'd rather it be, fun. And so I think I wish I had at times in high school given myself more of a break and just let myself enjoy it, rather than like being like, oh my gosh, this happened or has to be perfect or somebody commented this. So I think you got to kind of balance your health and your like obsession with your magazine.
I definitely feel that, because I know when we were starting our website for the first time, like I think I stayed up like 4 a.m. like 3 nights in a row. I skipped work one day because I was just like, I was so passionate about it. Like you said, there's like this obsession that you have about it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely important to keep in mind that like it's not the end of the world, but like
Yeah.
it shows that you have a passion for something. Though that's great that
Right.
you love something so much that you want to put almost like all your energy into it.
I would say too, with like in this age with like Instagram and stuff, it's hard not to be like wanting to do something with it every second. Like I remember during quarantine, I had like a really like workaholic phase because again, I wasn't doing anything. And like every notification that pops up on Instagram, I'm like, oh, what is it? And so like I was literally spending like every hour of every day like thinking about it, like working on it. Like I was laying in bed at night thinking about it. And it's hard to like disconnect from that because so much of like making a magazine is like Instagram and social media. And so I think sometimes you kind of have to like give that away, or not give it up, but like take a break, maybe go on it like 1 hour every day and then answer all the comments or whatever. But it's hard not to want to do it every second of every day, but you kind of have to hold yourself back.
Yeah, exactly. I totally feel you on that. And that's something that like I'm personally still learning, because like I'm still in that like obsessive phase, because like
Yeah.
quarantine and like break and everything. So I totally get you on that. So moving over to like themes and inspiration, where do you guys find your inspiration in general?
Catherine, Savannah, and I are all super big like movie buffs and like music obsessed. And so I think like almost all of our inspiration for like our themes or writing pieces have come from like an album or like a movie. So we had like a melodrama theme for Lord, and then I don't know, I'm trying to think of specific ones, but a lot of them have come from like movies and books and, like I said, albums. And I think that's such an easy and great way to like come up with ideas because, like there's like a certain album or movie that makes you feel a certain way. So like then I don't know, you try to put that into words. So like I think our first official theme was Forever Young. And I think it was kind of around the time I was watching like Dazed and Confused and stuff like that. And was just thinking about like teenage, just like living, whatever. Um, so I think all of our themes have come from either just points in our life where we have felt a certain way or like a movie or a album that has really, resonated with us.
When you guys think of those themes, is it like is everything like based on your guys' personal feelings, or is it like, oh, like this is happening in the world, let's base it off of this thing, or how do you guys go about stuff like that?
I think for a long time it was usually like about, our personal worlds, and we like went to the same school, so I'm sure we were like experiencing the same things and we just bounce ideas off each other in group text, whatever. But then I think throughout like this season, like COVID, and we tried not to like, make everything about, COVID because that's kind of depressing. People don't want to read about that. But then, with like Black Lives Matter, we were like, oh, well, we need to like, cater to this because I don't know. So I think we learned, I think as we're growing up too and becoming more of a part of the world, becoming adults, I think the magazine has shifted more from like, like, oh, teenage nostalgia about this, whatever, which is like we love, but it's become more of a expression and way to like address things that are going on in the actual world. So I think it's kind of been a shift.
Yeah, definitely. Like just over the whole entire quarantine period, I feel like so many magazines have like grown and like formed into their own separate entities. And like it's really, really great because like as we get older, like our magazines evolve as well.
Yeah.
So moving over to establishing an aesthetic / mission, how would you guys describe your guys' aesthetic?
The aesthetic, I think this is how I've always seen it, but I think we always wanted to cater to that teenage nostalgia thing. So we were like, if we're 20 something, whatever, it doesn't matter how old we are, we want to, I guess, feel the freedom of being like a teenager or a child or just like um enjoy like the fun stuff. So the site is like super, it's pretty clean and stuff, but then it has like colorful collages and stuff that I made like 4 years ago. And then like, I don't know, we've tried to make it like fun and childish kind of. And I think it's kind of changed a lot throughout the years. And again, like you said, like as we've grown up, it's kind of shifted, I guess, and we're kind of still trying to figure out, like where to fit in. But I think the idea of the whole thing was to be like, like the enjoying life, teenage nostalgia, like fun, freedom, like that was supposed to be like the aesthetic. And I think it sometimes shows through, but it just depends on the season.
I know something that like we all personally enjoyed when we were starting was how handwritten a lot of stuff is, and like you said, collage, and what like, and I know you said, like it was child like kind of keep that consistent. And so what inspirations do you pull from now, basically?
Yeah, I think it just depends. Like for example, like the print issue, like you said, has a lot of like handwritten stuff too. And I think that idea was it was supposed to be like, like a scrapbook, like don't be a stranger. It was like supposed to be about like friendship scrapbook, like something you'd make like again as a teenager, like yourself. And then I think as we moved through like different seasons and stuff and like learned more about the magazines, we decided to like make that more of like a common thread like in the site as well. So like the first thing that was just handwritten was literally just the logo. And then we were like, oh, well, we can do this for everything. And so like, I don't know, I think that became kind of a common theme and like the childish thing. Yeah, does that answer the question?
Yeah, definitely.
When it comes to like your overall website, how do you maintain like an overall theme while still allowing like writers to have their own individual voices?
Right. That that just kind of depends for us because we love just giving everybody, like the complete creative freedom to do what they want. And that's what we've done for so long. But then I think as we've gotten older, things have shifted to more to less from like, personal essays about this with this to like politics and stuff, which we never really, we were always worried about bringing that into, Uniquely line because we wanted it to be, you know, like a world that was just like free of all of the things that, you know, people are like fighting about in the world, you know what I mean? And so I think things have changed a bit from how it used to be because we didn't usually have to like structure what people were doing because, you know, everybody was kind of, we were younger, our writers were younger, and we were all just like writing for fun. But then the world became so different when we got older. I guess we just started noticing, and obviously the world in the past year has like become more, you know, difficult to grasp. It wasn't as like straightforward. And so I think that was one thing we kind of had to start thinking about um recently. And again, we try to like, we want everyone to have the freedom to express whatever they want and to talk about whatever they want and to talk about the things that are controversial but are important to them. But we also don't want to offend other people, you know, and so we just try to be careful about what we just don't want to like hurt anybody, you know, like we said, we want like Uniquely Line to be like a place that's like loving about friendship, you know what I mean? So we're still kind of learning, I guess, how to exactly, you know, maintain the theme throughout our magazine. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I think we're gonna move on to branding, which is like a really short section, but on the topic of, you know, maintaining your aesthetic while accommodating to all your artists. Besides that, what is the main thing you guys want people to take away from your brand, like at first glance, if they go onto your website for the first time?
I think we really find the balance of like professionalism and like teenagerism. Like, you know, we want that to be evident in our website. So, you know, I like it to be like clean and easy to manage and like look like any magazine or can be like professional. But I also want it to be like fun and not you know, be like too binding, I guess. And so I think that's one thing that we hope the website, like the first thing you see it is like, oh, it's easy, it's clean, but it's like fun, and you see all these like colors and whatever. And so I think that's probably one of the biggest things we like to advertise, I guess, with our website. Yeah.
Awesome. So moving on to publication design, what does the process of designing an issue look like?
So this was our first print issue that we did over quarantine, and it was kind of, we didn't really have like a good process. It was kind of just messy. We just wanted to like see what we could do. And so designing the issue was tough because again, you're also waiting for submissions. So you can't just like, oh, I'm going to design the whole thing. Like you kind of have to design it as you go and then rearrange at the end. Um, but I mean, I did all the design on InDesign. Luckily I was in yearbook in high school, so I, you know, learned all the lingo. It was easy. Yeah. So that was helpful. But I think again, like we kind of just had to do it as we went. But again, the handwriting was a fun thing. That was one thing that we wanted to like stretch throughout the whole magazine. Wanted to use a lot of colors, like incorporate a lot of great photography that our photographers sent in. It was just important that we made it just kind of like, I guess childish. I've used that word a lot, but just fun. But yeah, I wish I had a better like system I could talk about, but it was really kind of a we're gonna play by ear kind of thing. So yeah.
I feel that because I'm the one that designs the magazines, and there's
Mhm.
like no honest. I feel like there really is no like perfect system because you are waiting on those
No.
submissions. Yeah, so it's like
Yeah.
either you, and not to mention like sometimes you like want to pair things so the pages work together and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and it's hard. It's really hard to figure out like should I just like plan it all out at once and then design it, or design as I go and then like mix
Mhm.
and match. It's a complicated process. So
Yeah, it is.
but moving on to our next question, for people who are just starting out, do you have any advice for them, and what are some tips you think?
Wait, sorry, can you say the last thing again? I think I cut out for a sec.
What are some tips they should keep in mind?
Okay. Um Again, the reaching out to people is the biggest thing I would say, but also just in a more general sense, I think it's so important to like find a mission or a space to fill. So like, you know, for us, like we said, it was like we wanted to embrace people's differences and align as humans, whatever. But for like Lithium, it's like more, I don't know. I think they're so amazing and they're so like professional, but also like so free, and they're really amazing at writing stuff that like other people would be afraid to write. And then, Pure Nowhere, it's like amazing, talking about music. I think you kind of have to find your little pocket, um, and then just kind of stick to it. And obviously, like you can change it throughout. Like, I mean, we kind of had to shift in a lot of different ways, but I think it's important in the beginning to like come up with, like a mission statement, or just, and even just like coming up with a name that means something. I think it's nice to have something to kind of base everything off of. So that's like a definitely important thing to note when you're first starting out. Trying to think of what else, but yeah, I think for us, the biggest thing was like reaching out to people, trying new things. We just like jumped into areas that we didn't know if we could do, but we just tried because like there's no harm. We're all young. We're not, most of our magazines aren't like profiting, making any money. So there's kind of no harm in whatever you could do. So I think just like trying new things, messing around, and just, I don't know, being brave enough to like jump into their zine world with like no experience, because you don't need it. And just like also reaching out to other magazines for help, because I mean, like I know we're welcome to like, we'll help you with whatever, like DM us. But I know like so many other magazines do the same thing. And I think we got a lot of our help from other like EICs, like Olivia. We like partner with Adolescent, and so I met like Olivia from Lithium through that. And I literally texted her so many times, like asking, like, oh, what do you do for this? Like, how do I do this? Like, how do I balance this? And she's been so helpful, like, genuinely, like, wouldn't have gotten this far without her. Yeah. So just reach out to people, because they'll be so willing to help, and it's going to like change the way you think and figure out how everything works.
Yeah, definitely. So what tools do you use to design the print and the website?
Mhm. Our website is made on Squarespace. I love Squarespace. My sister taught me how to do that because she's really great at websites and stuff. It's super easy to use in my opinion, and I've never really had to go anywhere else to like figure out what to do. So I would totally recommend it. You do have to pay, but I pay like $100 something yearly, which in my opinion is like worth it for all that I'm able to do there. But I know people use like WordPress and stuff, and I think there are a lot of other options. But yeah, Squarespace is my go-to for the website. And then for the print issue, like I said, I used InDesign, um, which again you have to pay for, which sucks. But I figured, since I want to be a creative writing major and maybe I'll end up doing journalism, I figured, I mean, I would need it and it's worth it. But I also used Procreate a lot, because with all the handwriting, I do like all the handwriting on Procreate, and then like, erase the background and then put it in. So that's just fun if you're like working with the design of your website. And also, there are a lot of great website designers out there who will help you like around our age range, and they'll do your website for you. Like, you should pay them if you can. But people are really helpful. So if you don't feel like you have like, the ability or like the eye, or you don't know exactly what you want to do with the design, um, reach out to people. And because there's so many great like graphic design artists out there who are willing to help. And so, yeah, I would say that.
Awesome.
Mhm.
I know you were saying that someone, or you were able to reach out to people to help create your website. Did you guys pay someone to do it, or was it something that you guys did collaboratively?
I did the website myself because, like I said, my sister is really well versed in all that kind of stuff. So I'm lucky to kind of have like, she's also like a business coach. And so it's really nice because I can be like, what do I do like here, whatever. And she's, she can just help me. But yeah, so I did it myself with her help. But I know there's so many out there. And again, if you are reaching out to other like magazines, then ask them, because I know a lot of people in the zine community have used similar, or like a lot of them have used the same web designer, and so they're out there and easy to find. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We designed everything ourselves, but yeah, I know I've noticed that a lot of people use the same ones and they look amazing. So
Mhm.
it's like
Yeah.
really worth your bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Going over the comments, how do you handle submissions? Do you have a team that like looks through everything, or is it just an individual process?
With submissions and stuff, it's just me, Catherine, and Savannah. So we've kind of played around with different systems throughout the years. One thing that's consistent is that the team members pitch me for their writing pieces, and then I'll say yes, you know. And we started working on that like the month before. So that was another thing that Olivia helped me with. But we would have we would give the team members the theme for the next month, and they'd pitch me, and they'd have until the end of the month to write it. And since you have like a pitch a month in advance, then you can, you know, commission art pieces, which is super helpful. I'd recommend that to anybody. It was hard for us during this season since we were first semester college students and trying to figure it out. So we kind of failed a little bit, but I would totally recommend that system. And then for other submissions, they get sent to our general email, which me, Savannah, and Catherine are all signed into. And so sometimes it just kind of depends who's on. But usually we'll just look at the submission and see if one, like it fits, you know, our, not necessarily the theme, because it doesn't have to be exactly, you know, the theme, but if it fits like the mission and if it's like fully developed, sometimes we'll ask people to go back in and develop it further, and sometimes, you know, it's like great and we'll just make the grammatical edits. But yeah, we've worked throughout the years on different systems, and we still have never really found one that like works perfectly. But I would recommend, like, if I were starting out and starting over, having different editors for different sections, you know, like an entertainment editor or whatever, and then they can review the submissions, send them to the editor in chief and stuff like that.
Awesome. Am I frozen again?
No, you're good.
Okay, cool. It kicked me out for a second. Yeah, I think that's something that we're also figuring out too right now. Like we are actually implementing that like pitching system, and
Yeah.
I think it's gonna work really well. So I'm glad that that's reassuring that you guys have done that as well.
Yeah.
And there's also another question in the comments asking, how do you guys communicate with your team during COVID?
So one, like a lot of it is email, and that's how I started out. I just, you know, email the whole team. And for like me, Catherine, and Savannah, we obviously just have a group text and text throughout. But we started using Slack not too long ago, like during quarantine, which is super awesome. And there are other platforms similar to Slack, but yeah, it's super nice. It's basically like you can have like a group text and different sections. You can have like a photographer section, a writer section, whatever. And so we use that a lot because even if it's not COVID, we're all over the world. So you know, we're not like getting together. Like I haven't met most of the writers. Like obviously know Catherine and Savannah. I've been able to meet like Olivia because I was visiting Columbia and New York like last year. Like, but we don't like I don't meet people, which is sad, but it's you know, it's kind of like an internet friendship. And so I think Slack and things like that are really helpful to communicate with everybody.
Yeah, definitely. We just also moved over from GroupMe to Slack, and I love
Mhm.
Slack. I think it's a really good platform to use. And then moving over to time management, how do you balance your school, personal life, the magazine, and now also like being in college? That changes
Yeah.
everything. You have a whole entire college social life. So how do you balance everything?
It is hard and there's no simple answer. And I've asked like every EIC I know, like about, you know, how do you do this? Especially when I got to college, I was like DMing everybody. It was like, how do you like do it? And they were like, I don't know. And so there's really no good answer. Like nobody knows. But I think, like I said earlier, I think you kind of just have to give yourself grace, especially like at our age. And, you know, we're all students, we're all just trying to figure out what we want to do. So you kind of have to, it sucks, but you kind of have to like let yourself have those off moments, in my opinion. Like, I want to be on Uniquely aligned every second of every day, but as of late, like that's just not been, you know, possible. And I've had to like allow myself to be like, okay, like this is okay. I'm a college student. I'm not, you know, running a multi-million dollar business. Like this is, you know, everybody's also a college student, all the writers and everything, or they're high school or they're working. So like everybody kind of needs those breaks also. And so I would just say there's no shame in, taking a break if you need it. Um, but the biggest thing I think is just like trying to get on, check your emails like a few times a day or just once a day. Check the Instagram like once a day, but try to take those times off, because I think taking the time off is, more, it gives you more time to work on it. It doesn't make sense that way, but like I think, giving yourself like a certain time of day to like work on your magazine, like apart from your classes and stuff, is helpful to like give it a balance. But I wish I could give like a good answer, but it's just so hard. Like, I mean, I'm sure most of you saw this on Instagram, but we are not gonna keep updating our site for a while because, again, we're starting out in college and it's been so hard, and we just want to be able to give all of our energy to the magazine. And if we can't, then we don't want to like waste the time of like the people who are submitting and stuff. And so, yeah, there really is no good answer, but I think if you love it enough and if you're really, passionate about it, like you find the time.
Yeah, definitely. I know Becca and we saw the post and we are like, oh, we should bring it up, but I'm glad you did bring it up.
Yeah.
But I think that's great that you guys are like kind of realizing or putting value into things more than just the magazine, because although
Mhm.
it's like a fantastic thing and the community is great, you do have a life outside that's important to take care of as well. And another question for time management. So how do you personally keep yourself organized, or like tools you use to keep yourself organized and your team organized? Even if it's just like not even with the magazine, just like your personal.
Yeah. I think recently, like once again, quarantine was like a big growth period for us. So we started getting more organized rather than just being like, oh, we're putting this up today. Like we got this submission, we're throwing it up today. So we started just using Google Sheets. And so like for each pitch that I got from a team member, I'd put the title, I'd put the writer, I'd be like, who should I commission for the art piece? When should I post it? And so that was helpful again when you're working a month in advance, because then you can schedule stuff better. So I think just making like Excel sheets or, Google Sheets, whichever one you prefer, of, the stuff you're going to post. And that was so helpful for the print issue because, you get a submission and you're not sure like when you're supposed to like put it actually in the book. And I don't know, it's just really tough. So using a sheet to like, make everything organized is super helpful. And just like what's helpful for us too is like having different emails. So we have, uniquelyaligned@gmail.com where like submissions come. But then I have Vivian@uniquelyaligned.com where the team members will email me. And Savannah, she has her own email. And while we were doing the print issue, she got all of the web submissions, so it's just kind of helpful to be able to take care of different things and not get it all jumbled together, because then it gets kind of confusing, like who's supposed to do what. So those are helpful things with the magazine. For myself, um, I this is just like a random thing, but I have like like a week calendar thing on my desk at school where I'll write down the week things, but then it's the kind I can rip off, which is nice because then I can like not think about it. And journaling helps. My sister, like I said, she's a business coach and she just came out with like a notepad that has like my top 3 big things to do today, and then other things. I don't know, I don't even remember what it says, but like things like that are really helpful to me, and I would recommend those for like magazines or just for like life, just having places to write stuff down physically. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm like a very big planner. So I have like a notebook
Mhm.
for Unpublished. I have my own separate planner. We use like Slack for reminders, like
Yeah.
Google Calendar, all of that. So I totally
We have all of them. Yeah.
so when it comes to managing a larger team, what is it like to manage a larger team?
Um, I think I think it was kind of a change, and I think Slack really helped with that because we could one, like send messages to the whole team, but also like if I needed, like a photo for like just a writing piece, I could text in the photographers group chat and be like, does anybody have a paper that has to do with concerts or whatever? And like people would just send me stuff, which was super nice. And like a writer or like a illustrationist, whatever it is, like it's nice to have one like personal DMs, group chats for each particular like medium, and like a full team thing. So I think Slack is really helpful, especially if you have a big team with multiple different like sections.
What would you say the pros and cons are for having a bigger team?
I think I think it's important to have like a small section of the team, if that makes sense. So like editors or whatever, like if you have certain, section editors, then like I think it's important to have those people, in a group chat. Like for us, it's nice because it's just the founders. So it's me, Catherine, and Savannah. Because I think when you have like a random idea that you have no idea if it's going to work or no idea if it's a good idea in the first place, it's nice to have like a few people that you trust to bounce those ideas off of and pick themes and whatever it is. But then I think having a big team of writers, photographers, artists, I think that's really useful when you're trying to get a lot of content in each month or in each print issue, because if you're just relying on outside submissions, it can be really inconsistent. And that's something we struggled with for a really long time. Like one month we'd get a ton of submissions and the next it would be like 3. And we would be like, oh, this is, I don't know, how are we supposed to work with this? And so I think having a team that's, supposed to be writing or sending in a piece of art or something each month is really helpful with, making it consistent. But again, we're really flexible with team members. So like because again, we don't want it to be stressful. So like anytime, like somebody can just email us and be like, I have so much to do this month, I can't write. And we're like, okay, that's not a big deal. So I think it's just being flexible.
Yeah, definitely. So we have a comment asking, what does your executive team look like? And do you guys have different roles?
Yeah, so I would call our executive team just me, Catherine, and Savannah. Um, and I think like the biggest thing for us is just being able to have a group chat, texting each other, like bouncing ideas off each other, just like, and we're just good friends and uniquely aligned. It's helped us become closer friends, which is great. And yeah, we've kind of developed different roles over, the period of time that we've had uniquely aligned. But so I'm the editor in chief, so I will, kind of approve each last piece for the print issue, is approving, the end result. And then for like team members, I get the pitches and then I kind of, am most in contact with the team. And then Savannah is the managing editor, so she's really helpful in the areas that I just, can't do. And so like I said, during the print issue, the print submissions were going to our general email and I was getting the team's emails, and then she was taking care of all of the web submissions, which was so helpful. And so I think she just picks up the slack wherever, you know, I don't know, we all can't do it together. And then Catherine's become kind of like a copy editor. And so because she's just really smart and really helpful with that kind of thing. And so for all of our print issue pieces and for most of like the web pieces, she'll go through and, actually copy edit, because I mean, we all miss things. So that's kind of what our executive team looks like. It's a little unusual, I guess, because we're just the 3 founders. It's not like we've, hired people for particular parts. It's just kind of become, I don't know, our little system.
Awesome. Okay, so this is our last, I think, topic, which is branching out to other platforms and multimedia. And I know you mentioned adolescent content earlier, but could you explain the relationship you guys have, like how that came about?
Yeah. So we, in the beginning, were just like reaching out to everybody. We were probably being so annoying, but we were like sending emails to like all these different magazines, all these different people. We were like, we're a new magazine, blah, 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 being like stupid. But then we got a reply from Adolescent. And we are like, oh, okay. And basically so I correspond with Olivia from Lithium, who's also the editor-in-chief of Adolescent. And basically I would send her like all the pieces that I think go well with would fit well on Adolescent each month, and she would like just pick and choose the ones she wanted. So it's pretty an easy relationship. And then they publish those on their site. And there's a little tab, that says uniquely aligned. So it was a super like easygoing relationship, but it was nice to be able to, branch out to like a whole new audience. And like I said, like, and get to know people like Olivia, like so nice. I couldn't have like figured out how to do a magazine if I didn't have people like Olivia and other like EICs that I've been able to talk to.
Awesome. Do you guys, or are you a part of any other platforms or multimedia assets?
So this is not even a platform, but I'm gonna recommend, well, it is a platform, but I'm gonna recommend this because it helped us so much over quarantine. But like get on TikTok if you're, a magazine, make like aesthetic videos if you're like print issue, whatever it is. Like it like we went from like 1,000 something followers to like 3,000, in like a month or less than a month because of TikTok, just randomly. Like it is so helpful. And I know like all my friends, went to like 10,000 followers because of TikTok and stuff like that. So it is a huge boost because, everybody's on their For You page all the time. And so that's something I super highly recommend to branch out to. And I would just say as a print issues, like we didn't do print issues for like years because we were just like, oh, like we can't do that, whatever. But I think like it's not, it's hard, it's a lot of work, but it's totally doable. So if you're debating, doing a print issue, I would say just go for it, even if it's like a mini, you know, magazine, whatever it is. I would say like that's something to branch out to because it's just fun, even if it's not like making you money or whatever, like it's just fun to make. So yeah.
I agree. TikTok is like our driving force as well. Like, it's kind of insane how their algorithm works. How do you balance like having adolescent content and then obviously you guys are on like different platforms? How do you balance that with your regular content?
I think our regular content is our priority. And so like I don't even think about any of the other things like until I basically not finish the content, but like until I feel good about the content that's actually on our site, because that's really, what we're doing it for. So I think for adolescent, it's nice because Olivia was so flexible with me and I could just basically send her stuff whenever I like got around to it. It wasn't as like intimidating. But I think we've always just focused on the stuff that's actually going on our website, and then we just post that to Instagram. And we've never really been great at like posting super great stuff on Instagram either, because we're just posting what we post on the website because that's like what we, are like thinking about all the time. But then I think over quarantine, when we had so much time and when we were really branching out and getting excited about other things and stuff, that was when we were feeling comfortable with like, going to TikTok and reaching out to other people. And I don't know, we really kind of branched out. So I think you kind of just have to go with the seasons. And sometimes you're kind of just doing the basics, working on the online content. And then sometimes you're like feeling ambitious or feel like you have time or feel like you have great content at the time, and you're able to like reach out and start new things and stuff like that.
Definitely. Awesome. So that is all of the questions that we have for you. If you guys have any additional questions, now would be the time to ask them in the comments. So we'll wait a bit. But thank you so much for hopping on and answering all of our questions.
Thank you guys. This was super fun. I love doing things like this and being able to talk to other people about, things you guys understand and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I love your magazine. You guys are awesome. So I'm honored. Thank you.
We definitely like pull inspiration or like very into you guys when we first started out. So it's great talking to you.
Thank you. So fun. Yeah. Thank you guys for including us. And I'm excited to join the rest of the other magazines because that's always fun.
Yeah. Alrighty, so I think people are leaving now. So thank you again so much, Vivian, for
Thank
coming.
you guys.
Thank you
It was
everyone
so
else
fun.
here too. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a good day and a good